we discuss the lateral wall of the nose. If you look at the lateral wall of the nose, you will see that the lateral wall in this alar area, it is being covered by a hairy skin. Beyond that, the whole of the lateral wall, this is being covered by a mucosa. And this lateral wall, this lateral wall, it separate the nasal cavity from the orbit and from the maxillary air sinus. This lateral wall and this lateral wall separate the nasal cavity from the orbit and from the maxillary air sinus. The floor of the nose separate the nasal cavity from the oral cavity. And in addition, the nose is all around surrounded by air sinuses. That is maxillary air sinus on both sides. Over here the frontal air sinuses, and over here the ethmoidal air sinuses, and over here in the body of sphenoid the sphenoidal air sinuses. Okay. Now when you look at the lateral wall, you will see that it is being covered by mucosa. And in this alar area, it is by hairy skin. When you remove the mucosa, when you remove from it, then you will see the bones and cartilages. And the bones which take part in the formation of the lateral wall. Look, this is the lateral wall. And this is the lateral wall. This is the septum or the medial wall. This bone, this is medial pterygoid plate, and this is lateral pterygoid plate. So the bones which contribute to the formation is this medial pterygoid plate, and then anterior to the medial pterygoid plate, you will see the perpendicular plate of palatine bone, and then more anteriorly, you will see this part of the nasal bone, and look, this maxillary process, frontal process of the maxilla, this medial surface of this part of the maxilla, it also contribute into formation of lateral wall. And then in this area you can see this lacrimal bone. So maxilla, frontal process of the maxilla, this is lacrimal bone, and then this perpendicular, the ethmoidal labyrinth, and then posteriorly the palatine bone perpendicular plate, and then the medial pterygoid plate. You look from this diagram, it will become more clear for you. Look, this is the medial pterygoid plate, then this is the perpendicular plate of palatine bone, then this is the uncinate process, and over here is one bone, that is the perpendicular plate of ethmoid bone or ethmoidal labyrinth, and attached to this labyrinth you can see these two bony spurs, that is superior concha and middle concha, they are attached to this. Then you can see anterior to that, look, the frontal process of this maxilla and this nasal bone, and then more anteriorly in this area, look, in this area the lateral wall is being formed by cartilages, and look, this cartilage, the lateral process of the septal cartilage, and this major alar cartilage, and this minor alar cartilage, and in this most lower part the fibrofatty tissue. So from before backward, again major and minor alar cartilage, lateral process of the septal cartilage, then the frontal process of the maxilla, and then over here the nasal bone, and over here is the ethmoidal labyrinth, and then this is the uncinate process, and then this is the perpendicular plate of the palatine bone, and then this is the medial pterygoid plate. This whole is the lateral wall of the bony and the cartilaginous part. Then when you look at the lateral wall, you will see that three bony spurs, 1, 2, and 3. Or you look at this diagram, three bony spurs, 1, 2, and 3. It projects from the lateral wall of the nose into the cavity, and these three bony spurs, these are being called as superior concha, middle concha, and inferior concha. And then and then below to each concha you can see this groove, and this groove. This is being called as inferior meatus, this is middle meatus, and this is superior meatus. The groove between the superior concha and middle concha is superior meatus, and between the superior and inferior is middle, and inferior to the middle inferior concha, this is the inferior meatus. While superior, so this way you can see three concha: inferior concha, middle concha, and superior concha, and inferior meatus, and middle meatus, and superior meatus. And over here this groove above the superior concha, this is the sphenopalatine recess. This is being called a sphenopalatine recess, or sphenoethmoidal recess. It being called as sphenoethmoidal recess. Okay, now this concha, which in the clinical it is being, they are being called as turbinates. These are being covered by a mucosa which is highly vascular. That's why and it is very highly sensitive to temperature, and that's why if there is a mild temperature changes, or if there is sudden sneezing, what happens? This mucosa become swollen up, and the anterior ends of this concha, especially this inferior concha over here, when you put a light from over here, and as a doctor, when you see the anterior end of this inferior concha is usually seen as a rounded elevation with shining mucosa, which we call it as the inferior turbinate is enlarged. The other two turbinates lie more posteriorly and superiorly, and you can't see them easily, but the inferior turbinate and the inferior concha and the anterior end you can see easily. And in inflammatory condition and in rhinitis, the anterior end of this turbinate becomes swollen, and rounded swelling, which is called inferior turbinate, is enlarged. Okay, then when you see just below the middle concha, over here you will see a rounded elevation. This rounded elevation just below the midpoint of the middle concha, this is called as ethmoidal bulla. And this ethmoidal bulla is being produced by the underlying middle ethmoidal air cells. Just like, for example, you put one stone over here and put the sheet over here, the stone, this will produce an elevation. In the same way, deep to it over here is a middle ethmoidal air cells, because of which on the lateral wall on the medial side there is an elevation, a rounded elevation, which is called as ethmoidal bulla. Below or inferior to this elevation, there is a curved groove, and this curved groove below this ethmoidal bulla, this is being called as hiatus semilunaris. It's more clear over here also. You can see this is the middle concha, this is the ethmoidal bulla, and this is the hiatus semilunaris. Okay. All right. Now, at the anterior, I told you at the first that the nasal cavity is being surrounded by many air cells: frontal air cells, maxillary air sinuses, ethmoidal air sinuses, and sphenoid air sinuses. and all these sinuses opens into the nasal cavity. Okay, now look, this you can see this, this is the inferior concha and this is the inferior meatus, that is over here, this is the roof of the oral cavity and the floor of the nasal cavity, and this is inferior concha. Over here in the inferior meatus there is an opening, and coming through this opening is not the air sinus, but over here connected to it is the lacrimal sac through the nasolacrimal duct. Note the point. Look, can you see this fossa? This is nasolacrimal fossa in the orbit, and over here lies a sac which is called as lacrimal sac. The lacrimal fluid from all around the eye, it is being collected to this lacrimal sac. From this lacrimal sac, one duct open over here in the inferior meatus into the nasal cavity, and this duct is called as nasolacrimal duct, and this brings the lacrimal fluid into the inferior meatus into the nasal cavity. Okay, then in the middle meatus, over here in the middle meatus, over here, look, this again, this is the ethmoidal bulla, and this is the groove or hiatus semilunaris, and you put a probe from over here at the anterior end of this hiatus semilunaris. The probe will directly go into the frontal air sinus, and this canal or duct, this is called as frontonasal duct, through which the frontal air sinus drain into the anterior end of the hiatus semilunaris. Then over here at the middle part of the hiatus semilunaris, there is an opening of maxillary air sinus. This air sinus, maxillary air sinus, it opens over here into the middle meatus, in this meatus, just below the ethmoidal bulla and at the middle part of the hiatus semilunaris. But note one point, that the opening of the maxillary air sinus, it is at a higher level than the floor. Normally the drainage opening from any cavity is at a lower level, but over here the opening of the maxillary air sinus into the nasal cavity, it is at a higher level than its floor. Okay, so this in the hiatus semilunaris, first there is opening of frontal air sinus, and then there is opening of the maxillary air sinus. Okay, and then at the top of this ethmoidal bulla, you can see a small foramen. Okay, and this is the opening of middle ethmoidal air cells. Ethmoidal air sinuses are many, and one of them, the middle ethmoidal air cell, it opens at this small foramen which you can see at the middle part of the ethmoidal foramina, the ethmoidal bulla. And then, okay, and then look, the sphenoidal air sinus, this is the body of sphenoid bone, and over here lies the sphenoidal air sinus, and this sphenoidal air sinus opens directly over here, just above the superior concha, into sphenoethmoidal races, that is into this small groove just above the superior concha, and that is the groove between the concha and the roof of the nose. You can see this arrow in the opening in which the sphenoidal air sinus drain into the nasal cavity. Okay, in this way the frontal air sinus, the maxillary air sinus, the ethmoidal air sinuses, and nasolacrimal duct, it opens into the nasal cavity at different sides. Okay, now again you look, the nasal cavity and the lateral wall, that is being supplied by nerves. And note one point, that over here, just near the roof, just near the upper part of the nasal cavity, in this area you can see over here, just near the roof, look, this small area is being lined by an olfactory mucosa. The rest of the lateral wall is being lined by a respiratory mucosa. Over here there are receptors for respiration or for smell, and the olfactory nerves, you can see, they reach to these receptors and then pass upward to the cribriform plate to form the olfactory bulb, and then the olfactory nerve, and then reaches to the brain and taking the olfaction from this part. The rest of the lateral wall, it is being covered by a respiratory mucosa which is highly vascular, while this olfactory mucosa is comparatively less vascular. Okay, then the other nerves, one is the olfactory nerve, the other nerves which also supply the nasal cavity and the lateral wall, these are the nerves which are the branches of the trigeminal nerve, and out of trigeminal nerve, these are the branches of the ophthalmic and the maxillary nerve. The branches of the ophthalmic and the maxillary nerve, it enters into the nose and supply especially the respiratory mucosa for general sensation of pain, touch and temperature. These nerves only carry the pain, touch and temperature sensation from the nasal cavity. Okay, and then the nose is having, it is having a lot of sebaceous, it is having a mucus and glands, and these glands in the nasal cavity, these are supplied from the superior salivatory nucleus, which is a parasympathetic nucleus, and from these branches comes through the facial nerve and relay over here in the pterygopalatine ganglion, and from this pterygopalatine ganglion the branches are being given to the lacrimal gland and as well as to the glands of the nose and to the glands of the palate. That's why that is actually the nerve of the hay fever or nerve of Zukam, and when stimulated, so then is lacrimation from the eye and there is secretion from the nose, etc. That is, in this way, the nose is having three types of nerve supplies: olfactory, and those sensory supply from the branches of trigeminal nerve, that is olfactory and maxillary, and then the secretomotor fibers which are parasympathetic in function, coming from the superior salivatory nucleus of the pons through the facial nerves to the pterygopalatine ganglion, and after relay over there, then the branches being reached to the nose, and it is secretomotor in function. Then the nose is also having a rich blood supply. I told you in the case of the septum, it is having a rich blood supply, and the blood supply to the nose is coming from the internal carotid artery and mostly from the external carotid artery. From the internal carotid artery, there are two branches. Look, from the internal carotid artery, there are two branches. Look, over here you can see these two arteries, anterior and posterior ethmoidal arteries. These are the branches of the internal carotid artery. The other branches, that is the sphenopalatine, the greater palatine, and then the superior labial from over here, this one, the branches from the superior labial, and then these are the branches of external carotid artery. So the anterior and posterior ethmoidal arteries from the internal carotid artery and the sphenopalatine, greater palatine and superior labial, and these are branches of external carotid artery. They richly supplied the mucosa, okay, and then especially that at the inferior part of the nasal septum there is a rich anastomosis which is called as lethal area, and also the lateral wall is also having a very good supply. That's why the air when passes through it, Because of the good supply, the air is blood supply. The air is being humidified and also being warmed, and then it passes into the lungs. This is, I think, sufficient about the lateral wall of the nose. Okay, that is sufficient. Thank you.